Welcome to the end of the world, survivors. You're tuned into the last voice on the airwaves, Harper, or as I've come to call myself, DJ Clueless, broadcasting from a radio station that still hums with life. I'm no longer alone, but winter is hard and the undead still roam outside. This is where we fight back. I'll be your guide through the madness, sharing survival tips, locations of safe havens, and the occasional existential crisis. The world's gone dark, and the dead outnumber the living, but there are some of us ready to fight back and to rebuild some of what we've lost. The only real question is, what's next? Stay tuned to Zombie Apocalypse Survivor Radio. Stick around if you're still alive. Hello, survivors. This is DJ Clueless, and I have been getting ready to leave. I have been packing up for this trek. And normally, a trip from basically almost Paducah, but still in Illinois, to Kansas City or Columbia, Illinois, wouldn't be that big of a deal. But when you're doing it either via horseback or via bicycle, and we haven't decided yet which one we're going to do, there are pros and cons to both, it takes significantly longer. It takes a much, much longer time. So, this is less of a, hey, I'm going away for the weekend, and more, I'm going to travel for many, many days, and then be gone for many days, and then travel back for many days. So I have recorded this ahead of time to account for me not being around, because I won't be. And that's okay. That's okay. We have new people coming into the settlement, which is apparently being called basically just the station. I would prefer Survivor Radio, but when people nickname a place, it is not usually a nickname that, people like me get to pick. So whatever works, whatever gets people to come here. Priya and Queenie don't want me talking about how many people are here, but I am respecting that. But I am very, very happy that we have converted so much of the vocational college, and we have inhabited a lot of the houses in the direct area around the station. So we have lookouts and we have patrols and we have wanted pictures for Violet and her gang. Um, so I feel pretty secure in leaving this place with them. Now the main debate that we have been having with Malcolm via radio is whether we are going to travel via horse or via bicycle. For me, traveling via horse means you have to stable the horse and water the horse and feed the horse and brush the horse and generally take care of the horse, which is fine and dandy to do here. We have a specific horse barn, and in case you didn't know, as I didn't, horse barns are very different in layout to other types of barns. So we have a specific horse barn that works for their needs. Like everything else, we have shift workers, every 6 hours we have somebody new coming in to take care of things. Queenie basically wanted to make them 4-hour shifts, and Priya and she argued about that. And Priya won, simply with the breakdown of people and giving people days off and etc. So until we get more people, the shifts are 6 hours long. But once we get, I would say about a dozen more, those shifts will be 4 hours long. Priya and Queenie very much don't want people to work themselves to death because everybody who's coming in is traumatized. Like the whole world, if you are not a zombie, you pretty much have PTSD at this point. I mean, it's not even like a debate. It's just fact because there is nobody who hasn't lost multiple family members. There is nobody who hasn't lost multiple loved ones. Just everybody here has experienced huge cataclysmic loss. I mean, to lose the entire world. I mean, you're not just grieving people, you're grieving the institutions. You're like, I miss the post office. I loved sending letters to my friends. Not that any of them are alive to receive them, but you don't think about that kind of thing. And, one of the things Malcolm wants to do with all of these settlements is there's some people that he says are just nomads. They just prefer the nomadic lifestyle and just want to travel. And so he is trying to convince those people to travel to all of these different settlements, taking supplies, letters, various things like that, trying to get supply routes going, which I think is great and, a good idea. But I think so many people right now are still stuck in the what am I going to eat tomorrow phase that as good as Malcolm is about getting people on board with things, I don't know how much luck he's going to have here, quite frankly. So, at least not until the settlements are a little bit more built up. Even here, we have a good group of people, and we had our fortifications already pretty set up, and more people keep coming. And we're trying to figure out better fortifications to include all of them. Because not everybody wants to live 6 people in one room. Some people still want their own space in their own house. And Queenie and Priya are fine with them doing that as long as they understand the risks. It's not even a liability issue because nobody has lawyers anymore. It's more of a, okay, but you are more protected in these areas than you would be in a house. Are you okay with this decision? So, and one of the things that brings me to Robert's Rules of Chaos, which is something that I haven't touched on. And quite honestly, I haven't touched on it because of how much I've had going on mentally, emotionally, etc. At a certain point last year, my plan was to read one rule every broadcast, talk it out, give examples, that sort of thing. And that fell very, very quickly to the wayside as I seem to have multiple existential crises. Uh, all I can say is humans are not meant to be alone. We are meant to have people with us. And I feel much, much better now. Yes, I was crazy, but I'm much better now. Did anybody else remember that from Night Court? Anyway, showing my age there with that reference. So, one of the rules is everybody eats. And that is where we got the whole last meal from. As we all pretty much know by now, when a zombie's bitten, they're not telling anybody. They're just not. They're not capable of it. It is not physically possible for them to do it. One of the people who came in this latest group said that they had somebody tell them, I need you to rip me. And rip is short for rest in peace. Ripping zombies is killing them so that they can rest in peace. And I mean, you have gangs of rippers wandering around. I mean, there was one group calling themselves the Pikers, just, and what they did is they went out and killed zombies. You know how I went crazy a little bit a few months back and just took to the rooftop and shot as many zombies as I could see? Yeah, that's what the Pikers do, or the Rippers, depending. So this person basically said, I need you to rip me. And he was like, what? No, you're fine. Why would I need to do that? And they couldn't say that they were bitten. They couldn't get the words out. All they could say is rip me. And they eventually found the bite. And the person didn't go crazy. They think because there was only like 2 or 3 people there, it seems, more people seem to activate the bite. So they they gave her last meal. Um, and then they helped her to rest in peace. And nobody should go to their final resting hungry. And that is pretty much one of the ideas behind Everybody Eats. Don't take all of everything. Remember that there are going to be people who come behind you. There are going to be people who need to shelter where you've sheltered, and they might be hungry. So the whole last meal thing is leave enough for somebody to not die hungry, even if it's just a can of corn. And make sure that you're not hoarding food. Like when I took all the supplies from the grocery store and I left notes where to find it. Make sure that if you are, creating a huge stockpile of food, people can find it. Because one of the things I realized the other day reading through Robert's Rules, which I'm doing because we're about to travel, right? And I want to make sure that I'm not committing a road faux pas. Uh, but one of the things I realized is Robert's Rules of Chaos are about the fact that we are at war. We are currently in a war with zombies. And it is not a war we have seen before. It's not one that is familiar. It's not one that evokes any sense of familiarity. But that doesn't mean it's not a war. And there are 2 sides to this war, the living and the dead, or the undead, however you want to phrase that. And most of these rules are about how to keep your fellow combatants, your allies, from turning into your enemies. Because every time we lose anyone and they turn into a zombie, the other side in this war has another soldier, and we have one less. So many zombie TV shows, zombie movies, zombie stories center on the fact that other people are the enemy. And Robert's Rules really is trying to showcase that other people are a precious commodity and one that is hard to come by. I think a lot of people want to think life is cheap here in the zombie apocalypse, but it's not. It's not. Just because death happens so much more frequently doesn't mean that life is all of a sudden cheap. Still takes 9 months to grow a human, and many, many years after that before that human can survive on their own. And if my experience is anything to go by, surviving on your own and surviving alone are 2 different things. And surviving alone is not really, if you can avoid it, please do. Come to one of these settlements, And I know that we're taking people in, and I've given our location now, so shouldn't be too hard to find us. Just go to Illinois, hit south until you see us or hear us. Anyway, the next rule is about letting people know if there are zombies inside a building. And I think this one's called Everyone Sleeps, or Everyone Shelters. I don't have the notebook in front of me. I just wanted to talk about a few of these today. And the idea behind this, as I've told you, like I went through several blocks of houses around the radio station, and I put a C on the ones that were clear. I put a Z on the ones that had zombies. And to be fair, this neighborhood has been cleaned out. I think that they were forcibly evicted, like we were forcibly evicted in Springfield. And I'm pretty sure that there'd be a heck of a lot more zombies if those evacuations hadn't occurred. Because most of the houses directly around the vocational college, no zombies. So along with that is the directive to not lock doors. Again, other humans are not your enemy. Other humans are your allies in this war against zombies. And because of that, you don't want to leave them locked out with the enemy because you are contributing to the enemy getting more troops, pretty much. Now, it doesn't say that in the rules. This is my extrapolation today. Because the rules are very much, hey, we humans are in this together and nobody's going to help us except the help we give each other. So the whole you leave doors unlocked because the zombies can't turn a knob, and we don't really all the bad guys seem to have made more problems for themselves than solutions. Every group I have heard about that, would lay in wait for other travelers has been killed by those travelers. Every bad thing that people do during the zombie apocalypse, they did early on. They did all of the crappy, let's make a trap in the middle of the road and then rob people blind or maybe kill them. But the thing is, people took that real personally. And once you can spot a trap from far away, you can pretty much take the people who are in that trap out. And the people who wanted to do that kind of shady stuff, I mean, kind of Darwined themselves out of existence at this point. I'm not saying that Violet's not still out there setting fire to stuff and being a menace, or that the people she's with aren't out there. What I'm saying is, without being able to be part of a larger group of people, they're not going to survive. Them's just facts. Because we are at a point where we need to plant crops and tend to the crops and, then harvest those crops and store the food. We are looking at the very basics of survival right now. And when you're looking at the basics of survival, a lot of this petty noise no longer applies. And one of the other rules is everybody kills. And it's not everybody kills each other, it's everybody kills zombies. Um, you know, so in this world, in order to survive, you have to know how to fight and defend yourself. Even if it's with a handgun from a wheelchair, you need to be able to defend yourself from the zombies. Because again, this is a war, and again, our enemy combatants aren't exactly the most sentient of creatures, but they know enough to kill a lot of us. Sometimes brute force is more impressive than brains, at least when you have the numbers, and the zombies certainly do. So a lot of people who have come this direction, they don't want to have their children strip searched. They don't want their children to have weapons training. And those people, Priya and Queenie, just tell them this isn't a good fit for you. Because everybody here is strip searched every time they leave and come back. No, not even like, it's not a debate. It's just how it is done. And, with the cold weather, it kind of sucks. Now that we're having some nicer days in the midst of the cold weather, it's not so bad. It's easier to get naked in 60-degree weather than it is in 10-degree weather. That's true. But survival is the name of the game. And kids, being kids, often are in places that their parents don't know about or doing things their parents don't know about. And they need to be protected even when they're doing dumb butt kid stuff, you know? I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I did a lot of dumb crap. I think most of us do dumb crap when we're kids. And so, Priya and Queenie aren't saying we want child soldiers. what they're saying is everybody who lives here needs to know how to pick up a weapon and defend themselves, or not touch a weapon until they're old enough to get training. And I'm on board with that. There's so many more zombies than there are of us. And the ratio isn't 10 to 1 or 20 to 1. It's like thousands to 1. So, we haven't had to turn very many people away, though. A lot of people seem to get that things are different now. And that's one of the other Robert's rules that I haven't talked about a lot because it took me a while to come to terms with it. And that is pretty much your old life is gone. The comforts that you enjoyed, the peace that you enjoyed, the life that you knew before is gone. And the life that we have now is going to be harder. It's going to require a lot more thought all of the time. And it's not going to be as comfortable, you know? Just water collection has become a major focus here. And we have several cisterns going. There's water reclamation that they are doing off of the roofs of houses. Roofs? Roofs. Roofs of houses? I think it's roofs. Anyway, it's spelled roofs. But water reclamation takes a lot of time, a lot of forethought, and we have to have water or we die. I don't know about you, but I drink about 1 to 2 gallons of water a day. That's a lot of water when you multiply it across a bunch of people. So things like hot showers, things like maybe air conditioning in the summer, those are luxuries that aren't going to always be available. We I don't know if I want to say we're lucky the zombie apocalypse happened when there's so much solar power. But, if this had happened even 10 years ago, the amount of solar options we would have in this area would be severely limited and much, much less robust. Whereas, Malcolm has electric vehicles. When he's not trying to keep the plant warm, he powers those up. So things definitely are not the way they used to be. Um, and one of the rules just baldly stating life isn't what it was before, let go of those expectations, I think is a good one because I think so many of us want to build back up to where we were before, and the infrastructure's gone, folks. It's just gone. I think that we're going to build up to settlements that do trade with each other and then eventually get back to, more robust options. But I think it's going to take a while. Right now, we're all scattered, and it's going to take a while to gather everybody up into settlements. It's going to take a while to get everybody kind of on the same page and in groups where there's safety. Um, so I am probably, when I get back from this little adventure, going to start reading a succinct version of Robert's Rules for every broadcast. I've been pretty scattershot about talking about them, but I think they're important. I think they're important so that we all have cohesion, so that we are all on the same page and doing things the same way. And there's always outliers. There are people who won't hear this broadcast. There are people who will never see Robert's Rules of Chaos. There are people who won't see it at all. However, the hope is enough people will put a C or a Z on the front door of a building. Enough people will leave a last meal. Enough people will make sure that their families are trained on weapon use. Enough people will leave doors unlocked. A lot of times it's just about having a majority of people on your side. And I really do think that Robert's Rules of Chaos seeks to do just that. It seeks to get people very much on your side or on the same side. Because here's the thing, we've talked about this before. Zombies very much act like a school of fish, or they're all the same fingers of one hand, right? They are very much together and of a single-minded purpose, and humans are not. But these rules help us get a little closer to having, if not single-minded purpose, more of a purpose, more of an idea of what we're doing. So I am going to start doing that more frequently. And I'll let you know if I see any of these rules in action during our trip. Um, Malcolm is sending people to escort me who have done the trip before and know all of the best places to stop and rest. Those places are different if we bring horses, because stop and rest for horses is different for humans. And I'm just letting Malcolm decide those things. I'm happy to use a bicycle. I am happy to ride a horse. I think either way, my butt's going to be hurting by the end of the day. But, in the apocalypse, we can't expect a whole lot of comfort when it comes to traveling long distances like I'm going to be. So I am probably gone by the time you hear this. I am probably on the road, taking a long journey. Malcolm and his people at the plant have cleared off pathways on the roads. There were a lot of traffic jams and traffic snarls as people tend to flee even if there's no safe place to flee to. But they have cleared those off. It just looks like some giant toddler threw a bunch of toys off the side of the road in a big fit. It's pretty funny. But they have cleared off the roads. So whether we take horses or we take bicycles, we're not going to run into any traffic snarls or anything like that. So I think the trip should be good. I am nervous about it because, anytime you take a trip now, the risk of death is so much higher. But there's a lot of stuff that Malcolm and I need to talk about face to face, and he wants to do a lot of extensive testing of me. As he put it, magical abilities are annoying in his opinion, but also if you don't know how to use them, what good are they? So I'm not the only person he has brought there to test/train. And so hopefully it goes well. Fingers crossed. But anyway, this is Harper signing out. And remember, no matter what else is happening, survive. That is your number one and only goal. Survive, survive, survive. This is Harper signing off for now. Remember, the world is still turning, even if it feels like we're standing still. Survive, adapt, endure. As the dust settles, we are rising again. We are rebuilding from the ashes. Until then, keep moving, keep fighting, and whatever you do, survive.